Here's my audience. There we go. Perfect. Alright, here we go. Almost everyone you know nowadays, above the age of 16, owns a cell phone. The most popular of these cellular devices is the iPhone. And the technological advances in the last 30 years has been quite remarkable, and it's become a huge influence in our lives, especially people our age. We view these things almost as extensions of ourselves. If they're not in our pockets, we feel like we're disconnected from the world. And today I'm going to be talking about a pioneer in computing, a visionary, a creative genius, and the creator of the iPhone, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was born February 24th, 1955, and he was actually born out of wedlock and given up by his birth parents, and he was adopted by a working class couple from Mountain View, California. And he grew up knowing he was adopted, but he didn't see it as a negative thing. He saw it more as he was chosen rather than he was abandoned. And he grew up a smart kid. He excelled in school. But as he got to his teenage years, he kind of became more of a rebel, and as they were called then, a hippie. He smoked a lot of marijuana. He dropped acid, but he loved electronics. And about the time he graduated high school, he met Steve Wozniak, who was a computer wizard at Berkeley University. And these two quickly became really good friends, and they made a really great team because Wozniak had the programming skills and the coding skills, and Jobs had the marketing skills and the creative vision. So they meshed really well. And when Jobs graduated high school, he did enroll in college. He enrolled at Reed College in Oregon, and he attended for one semester and then dropped out and drifted back to his California home and started working for a video game company called Atari. And the people at Atari were not huge fans of Jobs because he had kind of a weird lifestyle. He'd show up to work without shoes and had long hair and wouldn't bathe. They said he smelled really bad, so instead of firing him, they put him on the night shift so he wouldn't have to work around so many people. But after working at Atari for a while, Steve took a leave from the company for 7 months, and he had ventured off to India to seek spiritual enlightenment. And it ended up not being a waste of time because he came back with a new view on simplicity and intuition, which became two traits that are very important in his products. And when he got back from India, he teamed back up with Wozniak, and they started working on the first computer. And with a $1,300 investment and inside of his parents' garage, they founded Apple Computer. And they kept working hard, and they finally developed the Apple II, which was labeled the first at-home computer. And by the time Jobs was 25, he was worth well over $50 million. So he found wealth very early in his life. And as the company grew, Steve's personality actually clashed with a lot of people inside the company. Many viewed him as very rude. He had a very strict vision, and if you weren't within it, he would tell you about it, and he would not be very nice about it. So it caused a lot of conflict with a lot of the upper people in the company, and eventually the board at Apple decided to replace Jobs with John Scully, and Jobs was kicked out of the company. So now Jobs is out of Apple, so he goes and sells all of his stock in the company, and he makes a very wise investment in a company I'm sure you guys have heard of, Pixar Studios. And Pixar really revolutionized movie animation and quickly turned Jobs into a multi-billionaire. And so a decade after firing him, Apple is 90 days away from bankruptcy. And they reach out to Steve Jobs and they say, Steve, we want you to come back. We're about to go bankrupt. So he comes back to Apple and eventually becomes CEO again and makes huge changes to the company. He fires about 3,000 people. He takes a product line of about 30 products and slashes it down to 4 core products and says, you need to just make these and you need to make them really, really well. So through his influence, he took a company that was 90 days from bankruptcy and turned it into what it is today. And it's the second most valuable company on the entire planet. But Steve's story of success and wealth is one that also proves that even all the money in the world can't buy you health, because in 2004, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which would lead to his death recently, I'm sure you all heard, in October of 2011. And a lot of people would say Steve lived a short life, but when you view his impact on our daily lives and on technology, it's easy to say that he lived an incredible life. And a lot of people would say, maybe he was a jerk, maybe he was unfair, but when you respect the fact that he had a very clear vision of what he wanted to do and he did it, it's still an incredible feat. And it's also a great reminder that no matter who you are on this planet, we're all mortal, we all have a short time, so we need to do what we're passionate about and try to make a difference. And I'd like to end this speech with a quote that Steve actually said at a commencement speech at Stanford University in 2005, kind of shortly after he was diagnosed with cancer. He said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary." Thank you.
Should we be clapping?
Yay!
Yay!